We might be seeing fewer royals in the future than we've been used to, but the question is, are there going to be enough royals to go around? We've had this model that the Queen has obviously been at the head of, and of course we all know that in the next decade, everything will change. And what we've also seen in conjunction with the fact that there are fewer royals is this recalibration of what it means to be a royal. So there's been suggestions that Buckingham Palace might become an open palace, open to the public, because actually Prince Charles won't occupy it in full. He'll only live in a flat above the shop, so to speak. I think this story has probably been briefed in order to try and exacerbate Prince Charles's value for money credentials. So there's this sense that he wants a slimmed down monarchy to make sure that everybody is doing their bit and there are no so-called royal hangers-on, because in the past there's been some negative publicity surrounding some of the more minor royals seemingly living in grace and favour accommodation and not doing very much. So I think this is Charles's attempt to basically look like he's inherited his mother's habit for being frugal, turning off light switches and being green and generally being good value for money. Well, here's the rub with the slimmed down monarchy approach. Okay, on one hand, it's probably a good idea for when Trooping the Colour happens for us not to see such a vast array of royals on the balcony at Buckingham Palace, because it then begs the question, who are all these people and what are they doing? On the other hand, the upper echelons of monarchy have become increasingly depleted. So we now have no Duke and Duchess of Sussex, no Duke of York, and even before he died, Prince Philip had retired from public life, so was no longer doing kind of public-facing jobs. That means that there are too few royals to go around. And what we've also seen in conjunction with the fact that there are fewer royals is this recalibration of what it means to be a royal. So back in Prince Philip's day, he was the patron of over 800 organisations, and a lot of it would be going and planting a tree, going and unveiling a plaque. Nowadays, royals like Kate and William, and this has been echoed by Harry and Meghan over in the US, are kind of royals doing themes. They're doing these massive, big gesture royal activities like the Earthshot Prize or Kate's Early Years Learning Initiative. And therefore that means by association that you're going to have fewer royals doing fewer patronages. And then what does that mean for the charities? Equally, when Charles exceeds the throne, what's going to happen to all of the organisations of which the Queen is patron? Yes, they'll be disseminated amongst the rest of the royals, and of course we'll naturally see a stepping up, not just by Kate and William and Prince Charles and Camilla, but also couples like the Earl and Countess of Wessex, who are already doing a lot anyway. Princess Anne will argue, well, I'm already doing a lot. You know, she's cramming 8 or 9 engagements into a day. There is going to be this problem with this idea that there's too much work to go around and not enough royals to cover it. I think we saw this major example of the slimming down of the monarchy at the Diamond Jubilee in 2012, because we had expected a bigger show on the Buckingham Palace balcony. And actually, I think at the time we described it as the Magnificent Seven. And we know, because I reported at the time, and I got very reliable briefings, that other members of the royal family were quite upset by that the likes of the Duke of York and Princess Anne and Prince Edward and Sophie sort of said, well, why aren't we included? We're immediate family, we're also the Queen's children. But to be fair to them, to be fair to the likes of the Duke and Duchess of Kent, well, the Duke of Kent has got loads of patronages and has always been really busy. His wife Catherine, who everyone will remember from giving the trophies at Wimbledon, has stepped back from public life, but she went off to be a school teacher in the north and did great things for young people up there. And a lot of the more minor royals have got careers of their own, so they're not really being taxpayer funded. And equally, this extent to which the Cambridges have tried to normalise the lives of their children very much seems to be pointing in the direction of, yes, Prince George obviously having his destiny mapped out, but Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis, having their own careers? They don't want history to repeat itself and have Prince Louis sort of seem like a royal hanger-on and go down the Duke of York path. So they've got to get the balance right between what their own children want to do with their lives and their royal commitments. So it does make the future of the monarchy kind of uncertain. We've had this model that the Queen has obviously been at the head of for all of this time, because she's been on the throne for nearly 7 decades. And of course, we all know that in the next decade, everything will change. What's interesting is The buzzword behind Palace Gates in recent years has been impactful. And actually, you could argue it's more impactful for somebody like Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, to do a podcast on the menopause that gets picked up by all of the papers because she's talking about an issue that really resonates with women of a certain age, than her going and opening the wing of a hospital somewhere. I personally think there should be the combination of the two. So the royals should look at these thematic issues, look at a theme of mental health and, to quote the Heads Together campaign, change the conversation on mental health. But equally, they also do have to do those engagements where they press the flesh and meet the public, because there's a degree of magic to which people who have gone on a royal walkabout and have seen a royal and got a photograph or maybe a selfie, they treasure that for life. And the Queen's always been acutely aware that everyone that ever sees her in the flesh will remember it forever and tell their children and their children's children. But equally, transition obviously remains a buzzword behind Palace Gates. It's the thing that we don't really want to talk about out of respect for the Queen, but that we have to because it is an inevitability. And I think there's also preparation that that event is going to cause such a seismic shock for the British public, and therefore anything that comes next is going to require an enormous adjustment from everybody. And therefore I think there's this sense of trying to make that as smooth as possible and try and create a monarchy that is fit for the future.